hell, you dress like that in real life? I thought that's just something you were doing for the photographers that you work with. I thought the photographers were making you dress that way for the pictures you post on Facebook. Did you know that at my big age, I have never once seen a single TV show or a movie with a black goth girl as a character? You do not have to wear a foundation that is 3 to 5 shades lighter than your natural skin tone in order to fit into the goth aesthetic and create that undead look.
You are under spells, people!
I dive into the unique experience of being black in goth culture, and I'll share some personal stories and challenges with you along the way. Exploring the intersection of black identity and goth culture is crucial, given the subculture emphasis on individuality and self-expression. For many, goth culture represents a space where we can freely express ourselves away from the mainstream norm. However, within this seemingly inclusive environment, there are unique challenges that black individuals face. One major challenge is feeling like an outsider, even though the goth subculture is a place for outsiders. It's kind of hard to feel like you fit in when you are an outcast within an outcast. There's this lingering sense of feeling like you're not going to be accepted by majority of the goth community because you don't quite look like what the goth community is represented as by the media is seen as a white thing. So it's like it can be kind of hard to feel like you fit in or like you have a place of belonging or like you're valid in your identity. I feel like when I was younger, like late teens, early 20s, I felt this pressure to like always feel like I have to always try and fit in. And it's like a double-edged sword. It's like oftentimes I felt like I wasn't goth enough for the goth community, but then because I'm goth within the black community, it also feels like I'm not black enough for the black community. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Where do I go? Where do I belong? A lot of people assume that black people can't be into the goth subculture because of the European roots and because white people are the face of goth that you see in the media represented widely even to this day. And there's a lot of ignorance and there's a lot of arrogance revolved around that. It's slowly shifting now that we have social media and we're more visible, but not the best. Because of all of these assumptions, people ignore how diverse the goth subculture really is and really can be. Black gothy, like we can have a hard time navigating the subculture and fitting in and also find a way to express ourselves in a way that is still representative of our black heritage. If you identify as goth and you are black or you are brown, if you have darker skin, you do not have to paint your face white in order to be goth, in order to be accepted in the goth community. This is a canon event. I cannot interfere when I see it, but I'm gonna say it right here because I see it a lot with a lot of the younger goth people that are just coming into the scene that are my shade or darker. You do not have to wear a foundation that is 3 to 5 shades lighter than your natural skin tone in order to fit into the goth aesthetic and create that undead look. You just need to learn how to contour and work with your natural features. You don't have to fight them. You can work with your natural features to create the looks that you want. Your makeup doesn't have to be super duper light in order to make the darker makeup stand out. And if you don't believe me, just watch the rest of my makeup videos and I show you guys how I am able to do this all of the time. A lot of younger alternative black girls feel like we can't wear the alternative hairstyles that we want with our natural hair state and with our natural protective styles, and that we have to wear wigs and we have to straighten our hair and do our hair similar to the white goths in order to be recognized in the community. But I'm here to tell you that you actually do not have to do that. Like, you can put like different accessories in your natural hair, like I'm doing here. Like, I have my little safety pin hair clips. This is a twist out. I have like two little bantu knots somewhere in here. So I have like a little bantu knot right here, and then I have like another one right here. Like, you can still explore hairstyles within your black subculture identity. You do not have to blow dry, straighten, and tease your hair and cause a lot of heat damage or wear a wig to do those things. You don't have to feel like you're not enough. Like, I'm here to tell you that you are. When black goth people are able to find other black goth people, it's really empowering, it's really validating. There's been so many times where I've just been out and about and someone would just randomly come up to me and hug me, like, oh my gosh, thank you for representing. There's been times where I've been out and about and a parent will be like, can I take a picture of you because my daughter really likes this style and I just want to show her that like she can do it as an adult and it's not something that she has to grow out of as a kid. And like, I never seen a black goth girl before and I just want to show her like an example. So like, representation matters, and showing up is really empowering, not only for ourselves but for the people around us. Like, you inspire people that you don't even realize notice you. You can bring your own unique experiences and taste to the table. You do not have to copy paste. Goth is not a costume that you have to go and buy at the store. It's not a uniform. You're free to explore things as you desire to, and you don't have to limit yourself to something that is goth or something that is black culture. You can blend the two, and you don't have to choose one or the other. Being black in goth culture is incredibly complex and multifaceted. It's about facing challenges and finding a sense of belonging wherever you can. Representation does matter for black people specifically because we are not represented in the media. I have never seen a movie or a TV show with a black goth girl in it. If there is a goth girl in it at all, it is not a black one, okay? So, us showing up in the world, us showing up on social media, having visibility is important now more than ever, especially with the alarming rise of fascism. So, I think that instead of toning down, we really need to turn up, okay? We really need to be visible. We really need to be outside. We really need to be empowering one another. Self-expression is needed. Black joy is powerful. It is uplifting, and we can't count on others to uplift us. We have to show up for ourselves and show up for each other in a variety of different ways. You don't have to go out to the clubs if you don't want to. You don't have to go to concerts if you don't want to. You can be at home, but show up for yourself and show up for the world. Did you know that at my big age, I have never once seen a single TV show or a movie with a black goth girl as a character, background character or anything, but just like as a character, not a cartoon or anything? And that is if there is even a goth girl in there at all. And that the reason why I feel like I never liked the goth girls represented in TV and media is because a lot of times those scripts are written by people who aren't even goth and who don't even like goth people, and they just want to project out into the world whatever stereotypes they have about goth people. I don't know, as like some type of agenda as to what they want the world to think about us, and that does affect the way that we are treated in the real world. I would say one of the most positive representations of goth people in media that I've always loved is Abby from NCIS. Like, love Abby down, okay? But I am not a white girl that works as a forensic scientist for the FBI or whatever, and that's not a job that I want to pursue. So I say all this to say that if it wasn't for me going outside into goth clubs, into goth spaces, and meeting people in real life, I would not know that other goth people exist. I wouldn't know that other black goth people exist. I'm gonna put it like that. Cause like I didn't go to school with anybody that was black and goth. Like I've met black emo kids, black alternative kids, black metalheads, but I never met any other black goth people specifically when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, growing up. I didn't meet those people until I grew up. So I didn't grow up knowing that black people can be goths. I did not grow up knowing even what goth was. Like I didn't learn about the goth subculture until I was like 19, 20 years old. But at that point, it's like I grew up as an emo kid from like middle school to high school. Like I already was listening to a lot of the goth music. Most of my wardrobe was black. I only wore black eyeliner and black lipstick. Like there's so many elements of my personality that already fit into the goth subculture. So for me, it was a place for me to find other like-minded people. I wasn't trying to fit into goth. I was just like, cool, there's a subculture where I can find other like-minded groups of people and we're all connected by the music and it's gonna be a good time. Okay, so about 10 years ago, I went viral on this channel because I did the trend of what not to say to blank people, and I made a trend of what not to say to black goth girls, and it was only 5 minutes. It went viral. BuzzFeed shared it. It's still one of my most viewed videos on this channel to this day, and it's still getting views, even though it's one of the worst videos I've ever recorded as far as like the quality and stuff. Like it's still getting used to this day. Like people are still finding it and searching it up and everything. I just wanted to make this video. It's kind of like an update, and I wanted to share some new experiences that I had over the last decade of my life that has changed. Okay, so with that said, I feel like when it comes to the question of is society becoming more accepting and welcoming to alternative people and getting more used to the idea of black people being in this space, or am I just surrounded by better people than I grew up with? Like, I don't think that the people that I grew up with have evolved past whatever the last time I seen them. Especially because I've had interactions with them over the years where I can tell they just didn't learn, they didn't grow, and they're stuck in their ways. And I've had to cut a lot of people off. So I'm just going to share some experiences to give you guys a little bit of context of what it's like being black and being goth and being in the subculture. So when it comes to feeling like you don't quite belong in the subculture because you're black, personally in my local scene, meaning my local goth and industrial club scene, I have never personally felt that way because the people in my area that I personally interact and engage with have not given me no awful icky vibes, and they're really good about keeping it a safe space for everyone and not tolerating bigotry. And any signs of anyone being a little bit icky, they get booed out. You can report them to security, they get escorted out. If the person that hosted the club hears about a particular person having a lot of complaints against them, making other people feel uncomfortable, then that person gets banned, and then word gets around, and they get banned from other places too, and then they kind of get shunned within the community. So I've always felt comfortable being black in my local goth club scene. And even when I was like living in Maryland, which is the most conservative, one of the most conservative places I've ever lived. I wouldn't say the most, but one of the most conservative places that I've ever lived. I went to a goth club out there. I think it was called Midnight. I was not legal, but they snuck me in anyways and gave me some drinks, and it was fun. And I did see other black goth people, and I had a good time. It was fun. I danced, I drank, I laughed. We all went to breakfast afterwards, and like it was great. So within the goth club scene that I personally interact with, nobody ever made me feel like I don't belong because I'm black. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen or that it's not prevalent in other people's scene. I'm saying the people that I interact with have never made me feel that way. And I have never been the only black person in the room, no matter what goth club, party, event I've ever been to. In my area, in Maryland, in Chicago, in surrounding areas in Chicago where they would have like goth parties and stuff, I have never been the only black person in the room at a goth event. So I don't feel racially isolated from my in-person goth community. However, online is another story. Online, people, like every time I post a selfie or every time people share one of those compilation pictures showing black goth girls or black alternative girls, like hyping them up, and somebody shares like one of my pictures in them, or they share like a goth girl compilation, picture thing, and my picture gets shared in there, people are always making comments like, she's not a real goth, black people can't be goth, she's a poser, she's a fake goth, black people aren't, like goth people aren't supposed to wear colorful makeup, you need to look at Morticia and Elvira and them and see how they're doing it. Whereas all the other white and like light-skinned goth people that are wearing colorful makeup, they never say that shit to them. I follow so many goth girls on the internet and they wear all types of colorful makeup and they almost never get those comments of, oh, this isn't goth because it's colorful. Like, y'all specifically say that to people of color because you're just looking for any excuse to invalidate us. And a lot of times these comments are coming from people who aren't even goth, people who aren't even old enough to go to a goth club and have never been surrounded by goth people in real life. Like they live in like tiny little small towns where there aren't any clubs or bars, events, festivals, conventions, or anything. So they're really isolated in everything. In real life, that's not the case. That's not the case. So I can say that, in person, I don't feel isolated for being black in the goth space that I'm in. I have heard horror stories of other people in different cities, different states, different countries, it being a little different. But the people that I personally interact with, that's never been an issue. Like nobody's ever, nobody's ever said you're not a real goth or you're a poser or whatever. And I feel like a lot of younger goth people who have never been to a goth club feel like there's going to be people questioning them if they go out. Like people are going to be like, are you goth? What type of goth are you? How long have you been goth? What do you know about goth? Like, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen, but that doesn't happen with the circle of people that I am involved with personally. So like I said, within the goth club scene, I never felt isolated from being black. So that's been, my experience. So that's, a win for the in-person community. The online community is something different. It's not a real place. I already did a video about how TikTok is not a real place for the goth community. I will say that when I was working as a freelance goth alternative model, when I would see ads looking for goth models and I would apply, I would either not get the job or I would get like condescending messages that are like, nice try, sweetheart, but I'm looking for real goths. Like I would get like little condescending messages like that from people. So within like the goth model scene, it gets a little muddy. And I've already done videos, showing you guys why I quit modeling. I I did like 2 videos on that. So I've had experiences where people try to invalidate my experience in like a work sense in that way, but not within my community. So there's that. As far as like, if you're wondering, work wise, I feel like I need to do a separate video talking about my experiences being black and goth in the work scene, because I feel like when I tell people that I've been discriminated against in the workplace for being goth, they think that I show up to the interview in demonias and fishnets and all types of little skulls and spikes, and I look like I'm going to the club. They think I wear my makeup like this to go into work, to go to like somebody's office or something. Like I think they think that I'm either stupid or crazy, and there's no in between. So I think I need to do a separate video going more in depth explaining how that whole thing works. But I have dealt with people treating me differently in the workplace for being goth. And it's not even that I'm showing up to work as like a full-fledged extreme goth girl. It's they see me outside of work and they don't like the way I dress outside of work, and then they decide to treat me differently in work and hinder my progress at work until I'm no longer there. And people just, they look for a reason to not like you if they have a reason to not like you, type of situation. I've had experiences with jobs where somehow, some way, they found my social media, like maybe Instagram or maybe YouTube, and they don't like the way that I look on Instagram. Or they found people who know me. I have like mutual friends or family with them. Like I'm not related to them, but like maybe they know my cousin or my auntie or something. And like they use their account to go on my Facebook. And a lot of times when I would go out to golf clubs, I would post pictures after the fact. You know, like it'll be an album like golf club nights or outings with my friends or whatever the hell. And like they would see how I would look in the golf clubs and such. And because they didn't approve of how I would dress to go to the clubs and hang out with my friends and like the selfies that I would post or, you know, whatever, they decided to treat me differently. They, you know, did things to antagonize me and just overall hinder my progress in the workplace. So when I say that I've dealt with discrimination in the workplace for being goth, I'm not showing up looking like Rhea Ripley. I'm not showing up looking like Ozzy Osbourne or whatever. I'm not wearing all these chains and spikes and fishnets or whatever. I'm talking about somehow, some way they found out how I look outside of work. And because they don't like how I look outside of work, they've treated me differently in the workplace until I have either had to leave, the job ended, or, you know, something like that happened. So as far as being black and goth in the workplace, I would say that it is particularly difficult. It is more socially acceptable to be goth in the workplace if you are white. So even if the place is like super woke and super liberal and super opening and super accepting of everybody, love and support all the things, and you know, the nicest welcoming people in the world, there is always some type of stigma towards me showing up in that space because me being black. One time I worked for a company, and I kid you not, guys, I'm gonna have the name of the company because of them. Okay, so there was a company called Art Sitter, and their whole thing is we hire artists to babysit and nanny your kids, and they're going to teach your kids art, and they're not going to be iPad kids. They're not going to show up to your house and have your kid just sit in front of the TV and do nothing. They're going to do activities with them. So whatever artist they hired with the kids, whatever art you specialize in, that's the art that the parents would expect you to do. So if you do gymnastics, a parent will hire you and they want you to teach their kids gymnastics. They expect their kids to be tumbling and flipping and doing all the things. If you are like a theater major, you're like an actress or something, they want you teaching their kids how to put on plays and perform for them. If you are a physical artist like me, like if you draw or you paint, they want you to go there and teach their kids how to draw and paint. So this company that hires artists to teach rich kids art hired me, an artist, and then constantly harassed me for looking like an artist. And I was the only black girl there, and there were other alternative people there, and those other people never had the same experiences that I had with this company, and how I was harassed and dealt with all of these racial microaggressions or whatever, even though they claim to be woke and liberal and open and accepting and all the things. Like, I ended up quitting this job after a couple of months. And even after I quit this job, this place was still harassing me. They were trying to make me do an exit interview. They were calling, they were texting, they were emailing. I kept blocking them, and then they had other people from the company contact me from different numbers, different emails and stuff. Until I was like, I'm going to report you to the police for stalking. Stop contacting me. Like, this went on for months after I quit. And it's like, bro, this is why I fucking quit. Because you guys don't know when to stop harassing me. And when I was working with kids, I would never wear anything that would put children in danger. Like, I would never wear any type of jewelry if I'm dealing with a toddler or a baby. I would wear jewelry if the child is like 6 and up. And, you know, sometimes I was babysitting kids as old as 12 or 13 years old, because those parents wanted their children to be surrounded by somebody who is artsy. Yet, when I show up looking like a fucking artist, is no, not like that. There wasn't really a dress code. They would make up shit just to make it apply to me because I was black, and they felt like I had to show up a certain type of way and perform, what is it called? Acceptability politics, okay? They felt like I had to perform in that way, and I refused. Like, I had a picture of me with blonde locks, and they're like, you need a new profile picture. I'm like, this is what the fuck I look like. This is my hair. This is what I look like. Do you have a different hairstyle? You could, like, no, what the fuck? This is what I look like. But do you have something different? Like, this is what the fuck I look like. Like, anytime I had any type of braids or twists or locks, anytime I would, like, they kept trying to harass me to, like, straighten my hair or put on the wig or take out my locks, take out my braids, and all this other shit. So it was just like a lot of racial microaggressions with that company towards me for being black. And then me being alternative, even though they hired a fucking artist to be an artist.
Randall, there is a cow outside.
There's a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside.
Like, it was a problem. And they're like, yeah, we would prefer if you guys wear suits. If you wear suits or, you know, dress business casual. And I'm like, you hire artists. You hire artists. And when I show up to people's homes to teach kids art, I'm painting, I'm drawing, I'm coloring, I'm using markers. And you're telling me that you want me specifically to go out and buy business casual clothes, and you guys are only paying $11 an hour plus tips. And then there was different tiers for different wages depending on if you hit certain markers. Like, abso-fucking-lutely not. Go to hell. There was a time where I worked a job it wasn't even a serious job. I got this job on Craigslist. It was advertised as like a retail job, but it ended up being a lady selling scarves or whatever in a kiosk at Nordstrom. And I was like, whatever, I'll show up and see what this is about. And it was great. And then one day she wasn't there, and I was showing her like how I was wearing the scarves, whatever. And then she started yelling at me and like, oh my gosh, why are you wearing my scarves like that? That looks tacky, that looks ghetto, that looks trashy. My customers aren't gonna like that. And what are you wearing? And blah, 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 just going off in the mouth. I ended up hanging up on her. And then she called to apologize the next day. But then she was like, well, this is what you have to deal with and blah, blah, blah. And I hung up on her again, and I just never showed back up to work. And it's like, bitch, you are so lucky that I didn't just leave your shit in the fucking mall and yell free stuff and go home and block you. What the actual fuck is wrong with you? And there was no dress code for this job. There was no, oh, you need to dress like this, you need to dress like that. And I didn't know what it was about. I was kind of scared it was going to be a scam. So I didn't dress like business casual, business professional. I dressed like in a normal outfit. I didn't dress extreme or whatever. But it just seemed like she had a problem with me being alternative, and me wearing her scarf just kind of set her off. And she just started saying a bunch of weird ass stuff to me that I don't particularly remember specifically. I just remember it was a weird ass conversation that I just knew that she wouldn't be having with somebody if they dressed normal. If that makes any sense. Friends. Okay, so middle school, high school versus my adult life has been kind of different in terms of my experiences interacting with people as a Black goth girl. It's like opposite. So in middle school and high school, people stopped being friends with me for being emo, or their parents would make them stop being friends with me because they didn't like that I was emo. And there was all these different PSAs on the news about emo kids and everything, especially like with the whole Columbine and then Marilyn Manson becoming popular and how he got connected to that somehow. I don't know. It was just opposite. So in my adult life, I have been the one to pull myself away from people because they're not accepting of me being goth. It's like when I was younger, people stopped being friends with me because they didn't accept me. But when I was older, I stopped being friends with them because they didn't accept me. So an example of this is like, okay, back when I used to have MySpace, my MySpace page was like, it was like the emo Harry Potter. It was like dripping blood, like it was animated. And then as soon as you clicked on it, it was like the Let the Bodies Hit the Floor song. And then I'm gonna like insert some of my MySpace emo kid pics. And like the parents that will be vigilant about who their kids were being friends with online, especially since there was like so many PSAs about monitoring your kids' online activity. Like the parents that will be like, no, who are you friends with online? What do their profiles look like? As soon as they would get to me at my MySpace profile, they would be like, that child is possessed. That child is demonic. Don't sit next to that girl at school when you go to lunch. Don't talk to her. Don't ask me if you can hang out with that girl. Don't ask me if she could come over. Absolutely not. And then those kids have to distance themselves from me because their parents didn't approve of me. Or there would be times where I would hang out with someone. Like we all went to a horror movie. I think it was like one of the Mike Myers movies, and I was cracking up. And when one of my friends would scream or whatever, I would laugh at them even harder. And then they would go home and tell their parents on me, and then their parents would be like, no, you can't hang out with that girl anymore. She's evil. And I just find that so funny as an adult looking back. But as a kid, I was just like, wait, what? Okay, whatever. But like as an adult, it's like I have been the one to have to cut people off because they were not accepting of me. It's like, it ain't nothing to cut that bitch off. As a kid, people be like, no, I don't want to be friends with you because you're emo. But as an adult, it's like people want to be in denial about how they feel about you. Like they want to be sneaky. So they won't blatantly say, I don't want to be friends with you because you're goth. But they'll just do things and say things that'll let you know how they feel about you. And then you got to be the one to say, okay, we can't hang out anymore. You got to be the one to block them. You got to be the one to say, this behavior that you have been exhibiting and how you have been treating me and literally every interaction with you is not okay. And you have to be the one to not, get involved in all of the things. It's like people are honest when they're kids. They're like, no, I don't want to be friends with you. Absolutely not. I don't want to be seen with you. This is embarrassing. But like as an adult, people want to be in denial. Like people want to be like, no, I'm inclusive. I'm accepting. Like we can be friends. But then it shows in how they treat you. I will do a completely separate video about acceptance in the goth community because I don't really see anybody talking about it. But like that's a different video as far as acceptance go. But like that's an example of like how my friendships have gone as a black goth girl. Okay, family. So the people that I claim did not approve of how I looked when I was younger, and I did get into arguments, and people would accuse me of different things, and then as I got older, people stopped fighting with me because they were just kind of like, well, the other kids are doing drugs, getting pregnant, and this and that. I don't care anymore because you're not really getting into anything. And then as I got older and got more into my identity, they just got used to it. As for the people that I don't claim, that I just so happen to be related to, I have decided to go zero contact with those people. And because I have decided to go zero contact with those people, I'm no longer interacting with them. But occasionally, like I've gone zero contact with them for a completely unrelated reason, and then them not accepting me for being goth also is just a cherry on the cake. And it's made me feel like I don't want to have anything to do with these people. I don't want any access to them. I don't want them having any access to me. I don't want any of the things. So there's that. All right. And if you want a video about that, I can kind of get into it, but not really specifically. But they have made rude comments towards me and how I look since I was a child. And as I've gotten older, it's just gotten worse. And every few years, completely out of the woodworks, like not seeing each other, not thinking about each other or anything, I'll get a weird DM from somebody that I'm related to, and it'll be something along the lines of, when are you gonna stop dressing so weird and be a real adult and dress normal again? You weren't like this as a kid. And it's like the last time I saw them as a kid, I was like 8. I don't know what the fuck goth was when I was 8. Why do you expect me as a 30-something to be dressing like an 8-year-old? When I was 8, my family dressed me and they were in charge of buying stuff. But as an adult, I'm in charge of that. So why the fuck would you? I don't get it. But like that's how it is with, family. The people that I claim, they're used to it and they're fine. The people that I don't claim, that I have no interaction with, I don't even try to like seek approval from them or anything. I just don't want anything to do with them. So that means I don't go to family reunions on either side. I don't go to weddings. I don't go to any family events. I don't go to barbecues, fish fries, because I'm vegan, but also because it involves everybody and their mama. I don't go to any family events where everybody and their mama's gonna be there. I only go to family events where It's the specific handful of people that I claim. Everybody else, I don't want nothing to do with. So I don't have a point of reference to tell you guys how people were as a child versus an adult as far as that's concerned. But as a child, the family that I claimed, they didn't, like what I was doing either. And they had something to say. But as an adult, they're used to it and they don't say stuff like that to me anymore. So it has gotten better and they have gotten more accepting. I don't think that they have made any attempt to educate themselves on what goth is. I don't think that they've ever listened to the music. I don't think, I know for a fact that they've never been to any goth clubs, any goth events. I don't think that they've ever really done a deep dive into what goth is and made any attempts to educate themselves about it. But they know that I'm goth and they are just fine with it. And it has made them more accepting of other alternative people, because if somebody says something slick about another alternative person and how they dress, then my family is like, hey, that's not cool because my sister, because my niece, because my cousin dresses like that, and I don't like when people treat her that way, so that's not okay. So it has gotten better. It's not perfect, but it's gotten better. So as far as my family goes, that's how it is. How people treat me, as far as strangers go when I'm out and about, it depends on where I am and how I dress and what my current appearance is. Obviously, the more alternative my appearance is, the more alternative my appearance is, and the more I'm out and about, then the more experiences I'm gonna have to share with you guys. But I'm not really outside like that as much as I used to be. I'm mostly in the house. And if it's not the gym or the hospital for a doctor's appointment or something, I really don't be out and about doing all the things. But when I am out and about more, then I have more experiences, and that changes. And so it depends on a lot. It's like, if I'm in a conservative area, even my most minimalist, my most basic appearance is too much for them, and there's always some type of weird experience or weird interaction involved with that. But when I am in Chicago, a major city, is different. And it also depends on what side of the city I'm on. If I am on the west side or the south side, I cannot freely walk about, not only because it's not safe, but it's extra unsafe for me as an alternative person. I would not walk around Inglewood on a good day because I don't live there, I don't know nobody there, I don't know how to navigate the space or anything, but I extra wouldn't do it looking how I look. Okay? Versus the north side of Chicago where I live at, there's more alternative people in my area. It's not uncommon to see an alternative person. You get off the blue line on Damon, and there's almost nothing but tattooed people, pierced people, people with all different colors of hair, different styles and things. It's not uncommon to see an alternative person, and it's not super uncommon to see Black alternative people on the north side of Chicago. However, for my own safety, because I don't know anybody in these other neighborhoods and I don't have anybody to help me navigate the space, I'm not gonna go there on a good day, but I extra wouldn't do it existing as a guy. So there's that. Another thing I would say about friends is being goth has made me more selective about the friends that I make, as well as being plant-based. I really have to ask who's all over there and what the vibe is before I decide to go into a space. Okay? before I decide to go into a space, I really gotta know who all over there and what are the vibes. If you're like, yeah, so-and-so's an asshole, but they're really nice when you get to know them, I don't want it. Oh, you can come to my house for a get-together, but my family's really conservative and I'm not going over there. Like, I'm not going over there. It has affected my dating. Like, I've been in a relationship with one person for like the past 10 years, but when I was out in the dating streets, being black and being goth has definitely affected my dating preferences. I made a video about this years ago about why goths don't want to date non-goths, and I made a whole blog about it. I'm gonna put it over here and put the link below if you guys want to read it. But you're just talking about why I prefer not to date why I prefer to not date people who are not goth, or at least alternative, because it's a whole thing. I prefer just not to do it, not only for my own personal experiences, but the experiences of other people, especially in these times and whatnot. The person that you're dating may not be the problem, but the people that they surround themselves with may be the problem. And I can go on about that in a different video. I think I've already made a video about it, in relation to that vlog, but I still stand by everything I said years ago in regards to that. I can tell you guys a few experiences that I've had with friends, but I want to save the rest for a different video about acceptance. So I've had experiences with friends where I would hang out with someone, and like 5 minutes before I'm about to leave the house, they would call me like, "What are you wearing?" And I'll tell you what I'm wearing. I'm like, "Ew, don't wear that. Would it kill you to wear a t-shirt and jeans?" And I'd be like, "I don't even have jeans. I have not owned a pair of jeans in years." And at that time, I didn't have t-shirts. Like, the only reason why I have t-shirts now is because I know somebody that works at a t-shirt making place, and they're always giving me t-shirts, or I do a work thing and they give me a t-shirt, or I get a free t-shirt from somewhere. But like, I have never bought a t-shirt in my adult life. So at this time, I did not own, like, I quite literally did not own a single t-shirt. I quite literally did not have a single pair of jeans. And I didn't understand why this person was asking me to do that. Knowing the way that I look, knowing the way I dress, knowing the way I express myself, why would you even ask me that, knowing damn well that I literally don't have those things? Did not own it. And, we just get mad. I'm just like, yeah, like, no, it wouldn't kill me, but why would you expect me to do that? I'm not doing that. I've had experiences where I would meet someone in a goth club, but they don't identify as goth. Maybe somebody brought them and, they just dressed up for the occasion, so I assumed they were goth. I'm not in the habit of asking people, are you goth? Are you not goth? When I'm in a goth club, I just go there and have fun. And if you ask me to hang out with you and I agree to hang out with you, then I'm not expecting you to then be like, ew, you dress like that all the time. I thought you were just doing it for the clubs. There's been times where people have reached out to me, friends from school or whatever, and I hang out with them, and they're like, "Hill, you dress like that in real life. I thought that's just something you were doing for the photographers that you work with. I thought the photographers were making you dress that way for the pictures you post on Facebook. I didn't know you were gonna like this in real life." And it's like, what?
What the hell? What the hell?
Do you not realize that in order for people to take pictures of me looking how I look, that I would have to look the way I look? Like, it just didn't make any sense. So we touched on my experiences with jobs. We touched on my experience with family, friends, and we touched on, my experiences in the scene physically versus the internet. I don't know what other areas of my life that I feel like I can share to you my experiences about what it's like to be Black in the goth subculture. But if you have any other questions or anything, then list them down below. If you identify as goth or alternative, or you're like a part of some other subgenre, alternative subculture or anything, and you are Black specifically, please share your stories down below. I really want us to have a conversation about this and have some discourse. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions, any other thing that you feel like, is there anything that you feel like I missed out on as far as being Black in the goth subculture? As far as like different areas of my life, like is there any other topics that you feel like you want me to discuss, or anything that I talk about that you feel like you want a deeper dive on, and I'll get into that later. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. Bye.